I'm Manasa. So yeah, I'm here to teach you about Kalamkari. I'm really very excited about that because that's one of my really favorite style of artwork because there's a vast history behind that, and especially the way through which the storytelling and everything happens in Kalamkari. So let us know about the history, basic history of Kalamkari art. So this art, the very old existence was found during 3000 BC in Mohenjodaro. So these are the oldest existence that we can see. So apart from that, if we go into the details of what Kalamkari itself means, so it's a Persian word. So if we break the word, Kalam means pen and Kari means art. So putting together, you can understand it's pen art made using pen. So this was actually brought into existence or practice in India during the Mughal period by the Golconda dynasties that was there in Hyderabad. So since this was brought into existence or practice here by Mughal, so we can see the Persians' influence in this. So how did the art start was storytelling was one of the major practice back then because that was a major means of entertainment. So they used to tell all the mythological or any historical stories. So apart from just telling the stories by going to different villages, they started to paint them on the cloth, really big clothes. Like these were used as canvas, and then this used to be taken to different parts and tell the story. So it was both visual and they were speaking about it. So this is the basic history about Kalamkari art. Apart from this, we have the major practice of this in Andhra Pradesh, that's in India. But then they started to also trade these paintings. So it was not only mythological stories, they also had some basic motifs like, say, the tree of life or a peacock. So these became very famous even in the Western culture where it was used for textiles and different decorative purpose. So now we can also see Kalamkari's existence in various other countries, but based on their cultural motives and whatever is related to their own cultures. So, if we are moving to the types of Kalamkari art, in India, we basically have two parts. Both of them are from Andhra Pradesh again, that is Srikalahasti and Machilipatnam. So, Srikalahasti and Machilipatnam are the two regions. So, it's the name of places where these art was practiced. So, it's named according to the place. So, what's the difference between these two is Srikalahasti is that one style where we can see hand painting. So, apart from the process of preparing the fabric and getting the paints, natural paints ready, the different style that is followed in Srikalahasti is everything from the outlines to filling up with colors is made by hand. So on contrary, Machilipatnam styles, they use wooden blocks in which the motifs are carved already. So they have multiple steps. They have one block to do the outline, and then they have another filler block for different colors. So in today's work, we will be learning something that is of Sri Kalahasti style. So yeah, we'll be doing a simple floral kalamkari illustration today. So I would love to show my other works with you all, maybe after we finish the like in the end of the session. So this is the sample that I've chosen to be done today. We are doing it in the portrait style, that is the vertical way of the page, not the horizontal. And I'll be starting to draw with the flowers. So we have 3 flowers and a climber which has the leaves attached to it. So I'll just start off with the first flower, which is almost in the center, and it's quite bigger in size when compared to the others. I'm just starting with a tiny circle here, and I'm going to make another concentric circle around the same which I did earlier. So these are a few there are a few styles in Kalamkari wherein where it comes to flowers. So they usually go with these particular style, and each of them has a particular kind of patterns used, which makes them really very easy to recognize and differentiate from the other styles. So after this, we are just going to make this inverted U shapes, like how we draw petals around the basic flower that anybody would draw. Just one thing to remind that this pattern, whatever we're doing now, is not supposed to touch the circle that we have done. So just keep that in mind and create the pattern in the same circular way around the circle that's already there. After this, I'll just start adding up some petals. So basically, whatever we are drawing in Kalamkari, they first go with the outline and then they start filling in more details inside that. So if you have seen any of the Kalamkari works, you would have observed that it has a lot of patterns and details shown inside. Uh, yeah, I was talking about the two styles of Kalamkari. So it is divided into two styles, and there are actually divided according to the areas or locations where it is being made. So when I said it is being made in India, it's from Andhra Pradesh, and there are two styles, and it is about the two places it's being made. That is the one is Srikalahasti, and the other one is Machilipatnam. So in the Srikalahasti style, they actually go with the meaning of the word kalamkari. So the word kalamkari means kalam. It's divided into two parts, kalam and kari. So kalam is nothing but pen, and kari is the craftsman work or drawing, whatever is being done. So kalam kari, pen drawing. That is what it literally means, and it's actually a Persian word. So in the Srikalahasti style, they actually take bamboo sticks and sharp them up using a blade to make a sharp nib, and then they wind a cloth around it so that it acts as a sponge. Using that, they are going to draw and paint everything. Wherein when it comes to the other style, they usually use the blocks which are already made. So it's the block printing method that they use. So these are the two styles. So whatever we're doing today is from the Sri Kalahasti style, wherein they literally draw it and start painting it. Now I'm adding up more details inside the petals. So it's just inverted U shapes of two different size. So it takes a lot of time to create one kalamkari fabric. That is when it is being done traditionally. So whatever we are doing now is on a paper using a pen. But as I told, the traditional ones, it takes really a lot of time. It starts from making the handloom fabric and conditioning it. They usually immerse the entire fabric in milk. Like if they have 2 meter of cloth, it is immersed in half liter of milk or something like that, so that whatever the content of milk is mixed in the cloth, it makes the cloth hard enough to make it easy for them to draw on that. So it starts with this process, and then there are a lot many things which they keep doing. So as I told, we'll be doing first flower. We have completed it, and we still have two other tiny flowers to be drawn here, and then the creeper and the leaf part. So I'm just drawing the other two flowers on either side of the flower which is already drawn. These are quite tiny when compared to the one which we have already made. So yeah, once the cloth is dipped in milk, it gets that hardness which is used later, which is making them easier to paint upon that. And then whatever colors are used, they usually use 7 basic colors that we see in the rainbow. So they believe whatever they're doing is always related and connected to nature. And also they use the colors which they usually prominently see in the nature. So they're related to the 7 colors of rainbow. And these colors are everything made naturally. Like for the black color, which is the very important main color that they use, since outlining to filling in, they make use of iron, which is dipped in water, and they mix with jaggery and salt. So they kind of make a paste using all this, So these iron fillings, they get the black color using that. And likewise, they have different fruits which they dry it up and then make powders out of it, through which they get all these different colors. So they use everything that is made organically, and that's why they believe the entire work that they're doing is connected with nature, and it will have no other side effects or anything like that. So once they finish painting on the cloth, they again have they first go for the outlining of the cloth. That is like whatever, only the outlining without filling the color, whatever we are doing now. This is very similar to what they would do. They just take the black color and they start outlining it, making the designs and whatever desired patterns that they want. And then they just let it dry, and they wash the clothes in running water. So they believe that running water is one prominent way to make any handloom cloth or painting, where the running water's force makes it easy to wash away whatever is excess in the cloth. So they make use of that, and they clean the cloth, and then again they will have to start filling in the colors. So by this time it would have taken them approximately 10 days. So after which they will start filling in the color for that. And then the filling of color again depends on what patterns they have used, and what amount of detailing is being done there. So once that is done, they again repeat by taking it to the river nearby, letting it down in the flowing water so it gets washed again, and then they start drying it up. So once it is dried, now it is ready to be marketed or sold, or for any purpose that it will be used. So this is the very brief way that I could explain how it is actually made. So after this, we will have to start adding up the climber, that is, and the leaves to it. So once we are done with that, we'll be good to start the painting part. I'm just starting to add the stems to this. So we can actually see whatever we're doing now is a really basic kind of drawing, but since we are adding up and filling it with a lot of patterns, it kind of feels really very intricate and nice. And especially once we finish painting it, it's going to look really nice because of the page or the entire particular artwork being completely filled with patterns and designs, whatever is being done. And it was, I would also like to add some more really interesting like things which I found very interesting about this particular art style. So in the beginning, I think I already mentioned, like, one of the major thing that fascinated me about the work is that the way they use it to tell the stories. So there are a lot of artists who have been doing it, but yeah, that's what they do a lot of work when it comes to the Sri Kalahasti style. Since that is hand drawn, they depict a lot of mythological scenes through their artwork, scenes related to Ramayana, Mahabharata, and also the scenes that are related to Lord Krishna. So there are a lot of depictions that is being made in this particular art style. And yeah, the way they depict it, and each and every character, and even though it's not something really visual or moving, I mean, not like a video or anything, they have really big scrolls on which they paint a lot of scenes one after the other. So it's like a visual story that we can just look at the images and understand the entire concept that they're trying to explain to us. So that is something that really made me excited about this particular art style. So yeah, I have just made this one leaf here. I shall
start telling you how to make that. It's pretty simple, but this one is just attached to the end of this stem, whatever we have made. But from now on, since there are no other stem or anything coming out here to draw the leaves, so we will have to draw the center vein of the leaf that we usually draw. So I'm just going to draw them. Make this a bit thicker, don't make them like really, because we'll have to leave them empty, or whatever color we are filling it, it makes it look more nice when it is thicker in size than making it very thin. So after this, I'm just adding some curves, and the same pattern I'm just repeating for all the leaves. We are just going to leave some considerable place between each leaf and then continue doing the same pattern for all the leaves. But we don't have to make them like really close by. Also, it can have some space in between. But remember to make these centers bit curved so that it feels like the leaves are also curved along the stem that we have drawn this way. It can be drawn on either side of the branches. I'll be adding up more leaves on this side. I was just finishing off this one. Telling that in ancient times, since it is this art style is there from a long time, this was very famously praised by the Britishers when they were in India. So that is when they actually made use of this art style too, like how they exploited many other things from India. So they used to make use of artisans and get the paintings done, and they used to trade with these paintings also. So it was being traded to a lot of different countries. And I think there's a museum in Netherlands wherein we can actually they have a lot of collections of Kalamkari paintings that was traded to their country back then, which are still being preserved in their museums. And so that is one of the major examples wherein we can see that how what importance was given to this art style. But the art currently, whoever is practicing Kalamkari, they still have this feeling that it's not being so well accepted by Indians itself. So I think that is one of the fate of all the traditional art forms of India, because Indians, we actually don't, unless you actually like art or you're an artist by yourself, they don't usually know the value of art and our own traditions or anything like that. Another reason for me to start doing Kalamkari is I would want people to know more about our own art styles. So I also do some other folk art styles with Kalamkari, like Madhubani and Gond and all such. So I just want people to know more about our art styles. Like India is so, it has diverse art styles and everything like that, but each state has its own particular art style and own traditional art form, folk art style. So once we start counting them, there are like a lot of them, but still people are unaware of it. Most of them even wouldn't guess that this any particular folk art which we tell is from India. They wouldn't know it's actually from India, even though they are an Indian. So I just feel pity about whoever is actually practicing it. So I just saw one of this interview about the actual artists who make this artwork. So he was telling it's not worth their time. So if at all somebody wants to make a living out of this art style, he would still feel like he wouldn't suggest this, even though it's his ancestral profession that he's been doing it. I just felt really bad to look at something our own being so much sidelined by our own nation's people. So I would like all of you to just show more interest, or make some of the people around you aware about what is ours and our style of art and everything. That would really bring a great change, even though if you're telling it to two or three people around you. we can actually show the strokes here around the stem. So they used to do very normal depiction of whatever was seen around them and right next to them. So if we actually closely observe a stem or anything, we could see that it will have very tiny lines of like the stem. It will not have a smooth surface all the time. So maybe this was one of that kind of depiction that they wanted to show. They don't usually be seen as thorns, but yeah, they act as part of the stem itself, and it also fills up the space whatever was seen a little empty here and there. So by this we have completed the drawing. So we can start off with the painting. So again, when it comes to painting, I would like to first finish off the flowers so that they would dry up. So actually what happens is since we have a lot of patterns one next to the other. Okay, yeah, I was just telling, like if we paint them using acrylics, sometimes the outline just fades off because of the painting being done upon that. So it is always preferred to give an outline once we finish painting. So it's very important to make the paint dry and then do the outlining, or else the pen would actually not work on that. So I'll first start off with the flower. So by the time we finish painting the flower and then we finish the leaf part, maybe the painting of the flower will dry, so we can start off outlining it again. And we also have to add some patterns inside after we finish the painting, like how I told for the leaf. So that will be more easier. So for the flower, I have chosen golden yellow and crimson red acrylic paints. You can actually go for any other colors like shades of blue, orange, anything. And another thing that I would like to tell, it's not anything like the leaves are supposed to be in green itself or anything like that when it comes to Kalamkari. So they usually paint it with random colors. There are different styles with like different paintings, even on the clothes that we see, they'll have only two colors chosen and everything will be filled with those two colors itself. So it's really very easy to choose colors. It can be anything. There's no particular color that has to be compulsorily used or anything like that. Since the artwork is being done on a large cloth and all that, they would actually need a lot of artists. So they would be coloring according to whatever they feel at that moment. So most of the times it was like that earlier. So it was not predictable to think what colors they would use and what not. So I'm starting with crimson red now. You can actually choose any round brush for this. I have chosen the 0 size. You can also go for 1 or 2. Depends on the size of the drawing that you've made. So I'm doing red for this part of the flower. And one of the very prominently seen thing that you can observe in all Kalamkari paintings is they usually have a very bold background color also. But since I think we won't have enough time to do the background color, because once we finish this, you will have to go for background color and then give the outlining for your entire work. So you can choose any particular color if you would want to color the entire background later. But if at all you're doing a background color, please make sure that you are not using any color very similar to that in your painting, so that it makes it look very similar. If you can use something which gives a bit of contrast. So in modern days, they are using Kalamkari in various different things. So since it is popularized all of a sudden, that's how most of us know what is Kalamkari. If not, I don't think most of us will be knowing what is Kalamkari unless we actually know about the art style. So now we can actually see it on fabric and lampshades. We have a lot of other things on which the prints are being used. But since the prints have come, now it has become actually, even they are using it to they're making fraud out of that. Like they're selling it to people, telling this is the actual Kalamkari. And of course, most of us will not know what is the original and what is not. So the actual artist still feel that the prints, when it came out, they have actually taken out the importance of the real work and the prints. So it's always difficult to sometimes even differentiate between the prints and the actual work that is made hand drawn like that. I'm just repeating the same pattern for all the flowers. Actually, in the Kalamkari, the colors will not look this bright when it's done on the cloth, because the cloth itself and the colors that they use, as I told, those all are from the natural ingredients, whatever they find around. So they don't give up this bright popping colors. But even though when they give, they kind of fade away, but not completely, but they actually tell that they fade away after some time. And you can actually feel like if you have a old paper, you can actually see it kind of turns yellowish, right? So that's how the cloth and all the colors also react when it comes to Kalamkari, because of the age factor. Like the more time it is kept, the more faded the colors start to look. Even now there are a lot of artists who are trading this kalamkari, like handmade kalamkari and even the block print style kalamkari, to different countries. But recently they have started to sell it in the local markets, because they were not sure whether people here would give it the value that it has, like how the foreigners would value it. Even though it's there in our own country, they usually tell that people come from many other countries, like from so far away, but still people who are in our own state or on our own country will never turn out to our side to check what is happening or what kind of art is this. Next, I'm using golden yellow to the flowers itself to add up to this pattern. So next I'll be using yellow for the stem again. So here, wherever I have drawn this three curved pattern, I'm just leaving that uncolored and coloring the rest of it. So white is also used as one of the color, but since the cloth, whatever they paint, or right now paper we are doing, since that's already white, they usually leave that blank so that they can you give some contrast to their work. They say they use all the 7 colors that's in the rainbow, so all of them are
Wow.
quite bright. And they also make the stories like from the epics Ramayana and Mahabharata. So whenever they're making a story like that, they have a lot of characters that are being drawn on one big scroll of cloth, whatever they're using. So how do they differentiate between these characters? So they have a lot of colors in particular for what kind of emotion that character gives. So if it is anger, they use right. So if it's a demon, they use green. So they have a lot of other aspects like this which they consider. And they also tell that if you are actually a true Kalamkari artist, you will know what colors to use where. So they can actually differentiate the work, whatever they see, whether the person who has made it knows about Kalamkari or not. Since they use a lot of colors, even for, so when it comes to goddess, they usually go for yellow because it resembles the turmeric. So like that, yellow. And when it comes to demons or any evil, they go for green. And Krishna, obviously, like how we always know, they use blue. So like this, they have a set of
Blue, yeah.
color, and they use them according to the feeling or emotion that they want to depict in their painting. So we may not actually know all this, but that actually makes a difference. It gives us a different kind of feel depending on the colors that we use. So these two patterns at the bottom, you can actually use all the, so a few of the patterns, whatever we use in Kalamkari, like for example, the leaf, I'm just going to make it green. So here I can actually make use of all the colors that I have used. So I'll be using red, green in this, and yellow and green for this pattern. So it's up to us, we can make use of colors like that. And when I say yellow and green, it actually comes up to the colors that we usually see in leaves or anything related to plants. So that's also included in this. So next I'll be just starting to paint the leaves. I'm choosing two shades of green for leaves, that is light green and the parrot green color. So I have this, or you can also go for dark green and the parrot green color. I'll be just doing them alternatively. We shall just fill it up completely. But yeah, in this, we are going to leave the center part empty itself. So I'll just be painting around here the leaf. So the center is going to be white. As I told, some of the parts are left white. So the next, the other leaves that are left, I'll be just doing dark green for it. So the work that I've chosen today is quite nice and simple, but there are a lot of things like really detailed works which will take a lot of time, but it kind of indulges yourself into it when you're doing it. That's what I have felt. Like you won't know what you're doing and where you're sitting and doing it. Once you start doing it, you get so involved in it. It is actually really very interesting, and I feel it's kind of meditative for me to keep adding those tiny patterns and do all that. I think since the lockdown, now people have, most of them have started making more art. Like before, they used to say like they don't have time, or it's just reasons, anyways. Yeah, but they, now that in lockdown, I heard a lot of my friends also ask me some ideas so that they can paint or do something more creative. So in Kalamkari, as I told in the earlier, they have a lot of styles to make flowers, but leaf, they have very minimal style. Usually we see a lot of leaves being done in the same way that we are doing right now. They don't have many patterns as such for that. But flowers, yes, they do have. They have simpler versions of the same flower that we have done, and like complicated versions or different kinds like that. And full page kalamkaris are actually really beautiful to see. Like, I mean, full page, like completing the entire page with the pattern and design. They have a border, and then they start painting the main subject of the painting, whatever it is. Maybe a goddess, a god, or anything. Like life of tree. Life of tree is one of the major art of all the traditional art styles that is found in India. It is found in almost everything, even when it comes to worldly or anything. They just depict everything that they see. They make a, I hope most of you would have seen it. Like they have a really huge tree. So they depict a lot of, they just depict tree, like the entire page being filled with the tree, like a really huge tree, something like that. Or they also depict one tree which is having many different animals and birds hidden in that, like peacock, and at the bottom they show like there's a deer, and one corner they show there's a tiger and all such things. So they just show everything that is around them, which is being inspired, which they are being inspired from. So that life of tree is one of the major motive of all traditional art forms that we do, including madhubani, gond, everything. But only thing that differs is they just take it into their own style. So when kalamkari artists are doing like tree of life, they take it to their style and do it. So likewise. So next we just have these tiny curves that we have made. So for them I'll be using red, and I won't be entirely coloring it red. I'm just going to color them red in the center. I'm just going to leave some space from the outline that we have made and color in the center as red. So this is just to have some balance with the red color that we have used. Since there are a lot of greens around, the red is kind of limited only to the flowers. So maybe when we do here, it is going to give it a balance. And since red is that one type of color which makes your eye directly go towards it as soon as you look at it, so maybe it's better to use them in few places here and there, so the entire artwork will be more popping rather than just one particular place. So I've completed the painting of the entire work. As I told, we'll have to outline some of the places. So need not outline every place, only those places where we have painted. For example, when it comes to the flower, I'm just going to redo the pen work around the red and the yellow color that we have made. And I'll be adding some strokes here inside the yellow. But again, make sure the paint has dried. Okay, I'll just finish the flower and then I'll come to the leaf part. It's just you have to add strokes around the center, like how we had added for the stem. The same way, we just have to add some strokes. The rest, there is nothing more to add in the detailing part. These are my other Kalamkari works. This is the first one that I started with. And yeah, this is what I was actually about to tell that time. Like, we also use only one particular color and finish it. Like, we need not always go for 2 or 3 colors or anything. It just depends on what kind of detailing that we do. So, I have just used the black pen and red color in this. That's all. And the next one, this is the actual goddess face that we see. So this is very commonly seen nowadays on fabric and everything that has Kalamkari prints and motifs on them. For this again, only for the ornaments. I have focused majorly on the ornaments. And if you observe, every work that I have done here has a border. So basically they prefer having a border first and then filling up whatever they want to fill inside. This was the peacock that I had made. Yeah, here you can see that I have used blue for the leaf. This is the other style of leaf that I was telling. Like, we have very few types of leaf usually. And yeah, the colors that I've chosen here is, first I chose for the peacock and I just implemented the same colors to this too, even though they don't match something very realistic or anything. It's just a artwork compilation like that. So I just wanted to match with the peacock color.